Hey everyone, I'm going to start this little video series while I'm going to try and videotape as much as building this motorcycle frame while I put it together, so that you can see what goes on when building a motorcycle frame, the rough aspects of it, not the up to the finished product. So what I'm starting on today is I'm starting at the rear of the bike. So we're at the rear of the jig. This is the back of the jig, and what we're going to do is we're going to install some rear ends and get them ready to build off of that I've made. A lot of times we'll use these ovals that we make, and this hasn't been polished up yet. It still has the rough finish, but it gets machined out for a 1-inch axle, and it just goes right here. But you can see it beats around. So lining it up with the right one or the left one would be a problem. So the way this jig is set up, I could take these off and put 1-inch mounts on them. Right now I have 3/4 inch mounts because we're going to be putting on a plate. Now this plate, you know, has been roughed out, and then the edges cleaned and the face cleaned. There is some discoloration just because of the heat and everything from where it gets sanded and all that stuff, but it's smooth to the touch. It'll accept paint really good, and the edges are smooth. The edges here, however, are smoothed out a little bit, but not a lot, because they'll get covered up with a tube. So you don't have to expend a lot of effort here. You just want to make sure the corners are semi-clean. So we'll go ahead and lock that in. And what I've gone to using, I've used many different covers on this over the years, but I just use this slug now, and the slug will fit inside the hidden axle mounts too. It's easier to keep track of, and it works really good. I mean, I don't even have it tightened up, but there's no play in that. So I'll go ahead and tighten that up, and we'll tighten this one up, and then the rear end is installed. I've already preset the width for a 180 millimeter tire, and what I've done is I've allowed from inside to inside 10 inches, okay, because the 180 is going to be a little over 7 inches depending on what type of tire is used, so you have to take that into account. So that gives us 1.5 inches on each side, which will allow you know, between 1.25 inches and 1.5 inches on each side, which will allow a 1-inch chain to pass through with no issues. 1.5 inches, I should say. So it'll allow for use of a 1-inch chain. The thing you have to take into your measurement, though, is if this tube is 1.25 inches in diameter that we're going to use, we're going to split this tube on the mill so it'll cap onto this and go down about that far. And then so you have to allow for the inside of this tube also. And since I don't build a lot of 180 frames, before I am set on this and I build the rear section, I'm going to check it against a empty transmission that I put in the jig, just to see I have this empty transmission, and I've put the trans plate I made in already, and I've got a sprocket bolted on here. The sprocket actually sits in a little further, or a lot further than it should, but I know the measurement, so I can work with that. And all I'll basically do is I'm just going to give a rough look. We'll line the transmission up to the holes. I'll set this over the holes. And this isn't accurate. This is just a test. I'm going to grab this piece of steel because I don't have my... Oh yeah, I do have my square. Hold on. What I'll do is I'll check and see where that sprocket is going to hit. That sprocket's going to hit right over top of that bolt. Roughly. I'm going to lock down the transmission and recheck it. So if this hits here, okay. This hits here. We have 7, 8, a little over 8.5. And that gives us under 1.5 inches over here. So you have to take into consideration the width of the chain coming in. So with a stock sprocket, this will be too far in because, you know, the narrower tires. So the offset sprocket that'll have to go in there will probably be 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch offset to move it over even slightly more to reside that chain in the correct spot. But that's how I would check it on a custom build on something I don't normally do, like when somebody orders a 330 or 360 or you know, because the jig is set up for 250, 300 and stock. So we've got all these little implements for checking stuff. All right, I'm going to cut and bend up the rear end after I double check this, and I should be filming with better cameras here soon. My other camera's tied up right now. I'm using a Sony Bloggie Touch. I'll be using a Sony NEX5, so the video will have better color and contrast to it in the next video. If there's interest. I mean, if there's no interest in these videos, then they'll probably just end, you know. But I will show the finished frame in another video. If you are interested in seeing more how we set the jig up, please comment below, rate, subscribe, and all that stuff, and I'll show, you know, the seat, the neck, the bottom rails, the backbone installation, all that stuff. So let me know, because I have no idea unless I get some feedback. So everybody take care, and I hope you enjoy.